Do you remember this immersive medieval zombie survival trailer from late last year? The game was Blight Survival. Outside of this stunning gameplay trailer, we weren't really given any info, and since this was uploaded, the development has been radio silent. But the devs over at Haynier Studios just leaked major new details about their upcoming title, revealing that their vision for the game has grown immensely since last year into something that now has my full attention. It sounded to me like Dark Souls meets Tarkov, including an overview of their extraction-based sessions and the various ways to progress and build each character. Even more impressive is this will be a cross-platform full release, available on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. The devs have adamantly stated they will drop their game as a finished product, or at least hope to, which is extremely refreshing when almost everything today is launched as a barely playable alpha or beta.
This is the worst!
Now, technically, no info has been stated on what platforms Blight is going to release on, but I just joined their Discord, and one of the first questions I was asked was, will I be playing the game on PC, PS5, or Xbox? So I think it's safe to assume they're dropping it on them all. The devs outlined Blight as round-based, meaning that each run has you venture into the no man's land between two desperate kingdoms in a ceaseless war. Within this purgatory, a new strain of a virus known as Blight has erupted from remains of the fallen, fed and strengthened by the blood that has been spilled. It rapidly spread, turning man into monster. Being the ones willing, you've been tasked to venture forth and attempt to survive as long as possible until you reach a point of no return, where either you extract or die. If you successfully extract, you will keep whatever you may have picked up. However, if you die, you will lose your character and your equipment, only to keep some experience points that will carry over to your next of kin, who will carry on the legacy of your bloodline. So we can expect the familiar gameplay loop of similar games in this genre, with dropping in with weapons, armor, and equipment, except in Blight, it will be with medieval gear, infected enemy AI, and other player-controlled knights suited up, attempting to loot and survive to successfully exfil as well. But what I find most interesting is when the devs said, if you die, you will lose your character and your equipment, only to keep some experience points that will carry over to your next of kin. Could this function similar to death in Dying Light, where you will literally lose some progress of your character if you die? We're going to talk more about their leveling system and abilities and perks and all that here in a second, but this could be a very fresh idea to add more replayability to an extraction game, and offering a more hardcore aspect to give players more to focus on surviving than just mindless PvP. The devs actually address this more by saying players get to decide themselves however they want to engage. With that said, sometimes a more healthy approach might be safer. However, we're never going to force players to play in a specific way, but rather incentivize them to adapt. To clarify, you can absolutely go in swords blazing throughout the whole game if you wish. But obviously, that's not the best move for every player.
'Tis but a scratch. A scratch? Your arm's off.
Look, we discuss new and upcoming extraction games almost daily on this channel, which, by the way, if this budding new genre really just tickles your pickle, consider subscribing and leaving a like, as that's the best way for me to tell that you actually want more of these videos. At any rate, the primary concern that we mostly agree on here for whether a game in this genre is going to be any good is the risk for reward. Does it feel risky when you enter a raid? What do you have to lose when you go for the big gain? Typically, as you rank up, the riskiness kind of begins to fade away, as you have plenty of resources to fund a full loadout replenishment every time you drop into a match. No game has really addressed this issue properly yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm sure you will. Oh, how I love comments that begin with actually. But if your experience points gained from completing missions, killing enemies, and successfully extracting are not permanent and can be lost upon death, in theory, we would never lose that feeling of risk every time we drop into this no man land, resulting in more tactical decision making. At several points in the gameplay trailer, you can see the player utilizing stealth mechanics to maneuver their way around undetected. I think this will be great for Giga Chat sweatlords and Bambi players who suck at PvP alike, allowing everybody to employ whatever playstyle suits them best to survive. Along those same lines, they take it a step further with the character creation. They say they're currently working with metahumans for both our character creator, but also for some of the humanoids in the game. Basically, they're attempting to allow us to create our character in our own image, which is insane. Now, I love me and all, but I think I already have my character models picked out. I've got my warrior build, my warlock, and my intellectual cleric, all ready to be uploaded when Blight launches. Now, they mentioned co-op a few times, meaning that there will be squad play, which is standard at this point in extraction games. And in order to work together effectively, players will need to fill a certain niche if they want to cover every possible weakness that the team might have. Haynier Studios, however, says that players won't be limited by something like character classes, telling them what they can and can't use. They say that they'll have a classless system, allowing players to mix and match gear and weapons however they see fit. So we're not going to be locked into only using melee weapons if we pick a warrior, or a bow if you're a hunter, and so on, which falls in line with everything that they've stated about play your way. Now, one of my biggest concerns anytime we get word of a new extraction style game is the loot. There has to be lots of items to loot, and possibly lose if you don't make it to an exfil that matter towards progressing your character. And the devs over at Haynier seem to be pretty cognizant of that. They say currently we have 2 crafting systems planned, weapons and armors, which requires an artisan who, for a cost, will provide you with various upgrades and customizations to your gear. To give an example, a sword would consist of a hilt, a crossguard, a blade, and of course the sheath or scabbard that it comes in. There are a lot of different gear slots and different levels within each. A bassinet, for example, is composed of multiple pieces, a coif, bassinet, and a visor. Then there will be different rarities and conditions for each, which can be upgraded at an artisan in exchange for materials and coin. Secondly, we have remedies, which range from bandages and torches to herbs and potions. It is still too early for us to dive into the specifics, but it's safe to say that crafting is a key part of our progression system. This, in my opinion, is a great sign that these devs understand the significance of making the loot you're able to extract with have purpose and meaning, giving you all the more incentive to needing to exfil successfully. Another interesting mechanic that was shown during the gameplay trailer was the apparent ability to pray at shrines in order to gain buffs. While nothing more was really shared back when I originally saw this gameplay preview, they also elaborated on what those are actually for. There will be several religions in the game where, as the playable characters, the Riven can make offerings to any of these to receive a random blessing for the duration of the run. There will be plenty of player progression to dive into through talents, traits, player attributes, crafting, and then of course gear customization. So with multiple passive progression, buffs and debuffs to pay attention to in a raid, hardcore as well as casual elements to keep us all engaged, I think Blight Survival has some serious potential. But I'd rather start a conversation with you in the comments. Let me know what you think of Blight below. Unfortunately, they weren't able to give us any more information as to when we can expect to play it, but with this new info they just gave us, we have a lot to look forward to for another contender in the anticipated extraction games that are coming soon. In a completely different post-apocalyptic setting, next you need to check out this other cross-platform extraction-based title being developed by ex-Battlefield devs with a big vision. See you there.